For those of you that are with us tonight, this is not Bernie Sanders, okay? Though he acts like it.
I want housing for all.
Surrounding. Are you gonna have to spell their names too? Yeah.
All right. We're gonna start this at 6 p.m. I'm here, Thomas is here,
I am? Oh, okay.
physically at least. Meg is here, Meg is absent, sorry. Barb, Chuck, Kevin, Jim. Is there anything for public comment this evening? One of the things I'm going to try to do this evening, since we have some students here, is to explain some of the different segments of the meeting. I know a lot of times you have a worksheet that you need to fill out, so, okay. We have workshops twice a month and we have board meetings twice a month. The work sessions tend to be where we talk about some of the different actions and items that are going on before we formally take a vote on it. From time to time, we do have items that we need to address in a particular evening to get that moving forward because a bill needs to be paid, etc. Okay? Public comment period is where members of the public can come and speak with the council to provide perspective and insight and lay something before the board for some further analysis moving forward. Okay, it's not necessarily an exchange, but we try to be fairly interactive with those that are in attendance so that we can get a better sense of what's going on. All right? So with that understanding of what public comment is, does anybody have anything for public comment? Okay. Supervisor's report. Last month we had our annual organizational meeting setting forward our committee assignments. Over the next couple of weeks, really it's kind of just getting back into the new year, up and running. I just want to thank everybody for getting us kind of up and running this year, particularly with Patrick and all the department heads. They are working diligently, kind of getting their files and folders and things set up. So, I apologize. I just wanted to look at one thing on my schedule and see if I was able to put it in my calendar. For the members of the council, we have an annual requirement to participate in the sexual harassment training workshops. 2 of those workshops will be offered. If you are not able to participate in, we'll find alternative methods. But on February 3rd, there will be a 7 a.m. session, and then there will be a 9 a.m. session.
That's for all of us we have to?
If you are not able to participate, we will find an alternative method for you to get that training. But Bonnie Black is going to be coming through EAS, talking with Ronnie. That does make sense for us right now in that particular arena, but it's where we're going to be doing for all of our staff or team members. But we all need to receive that training as well. So rather than provide 9 different shots of it.
So you said this at which times?
7 a.m.
7:03, I thought it was.
Is that in the morning?
7 and 9.
Yes, Tom.
7 and 9.
7 a.m.?
I'll be sending out correspondence as well on this.
What's the other time?
I'm just giving you a heads up on that. Members of our boards and committees also need to receive, they have basically, I don't want to really call it an affidavit, but it's a form that they need to sign acknowledging. Because if you receive this training from another agency, for example, you can use that towards your credit of receiving that information as long as you acknowledge the policy and procedure that the town has for that. So if you worked at SUNY Plattsburgh, you've received the training, and as long as you know what the policy is and who your reporter is, you can use that. So just as an FYI.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So we on the planning board received a link to a New
Yeah.
York State. Is that okay?
That still fills the requirement because the video provides an interactive opportunity. If you go into the email, it said that Ronnie would speak with anybody that has any questions, comments, concerns. So that meets the interactive portion.
Mm-hmm.
We still feel as though the individuals that are full-time employees and/or members of the board we want to make that offering to them. If they were not able to participate in that on-site training, they would do the video training or something else. Yeah.
And then fill out the form.
Debbie, it's pretty good, I mean, your feedback.
I did it.
Your feedback would be important for us.
Yeah,
to know.
I did that training.
You know, and Department of Labor continues to prompt various directives on this. I mean, there's a lot more, and I would anticipate in the new legislative session that there may be more mandates coming down the pike with some directives and white papers and stuff. So, so what we're talking about is over the last couple of years, New York State has created a number of mandates that we are required to do, workshops, trainings, in particular, really surrounding the topics of things like Me Too, okay? So our employees, we're going through a number of workshops as well as the elected officials, okay?
This question,
Yep.
have you taken the oath of office?
I have,
Okay.
sorry.
Well, just, I want to make sure they know we all have to take an oath of office at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
We're elected.
Yep.
I mean, you probably told them all that.
Also appointed, have to.
And appointed, you know,
Oh,
to the
boy.
boards.
Elected.
Yeah. So, there'll be a couple of other things that will be coming down as well. So, the last thing that I'll put out there for you folks is just kind of an update. I am continuing to work with Ronnie on the employee handbook, making sure that language is in sync with her HR expertise, because as we continue to use her for services and recommendations, we want to make sure language is in sync. That is going to be a rather lengthy process, so it may seem like it's dormant. It's not. We're just doing the work and the conversations to get things lined up. So just as a heads up. For draft consideration, we have minutes for the previous meeting, monthly reports. We also have an ESD grant infrastructure disbursement. Excuse me. Funds request for an old Clinton County airport. Just to put a little context on this, this goes back to 2014. New York State, in their infinite wisdom, did not have some of the paperwork done correctly, so we're going back to get some stuff done. As I often will tell students and constituents, government often works at glacial speed, and bureaucracy is, or paperwork is the embalming fluid of bureaucracy, and a lot of times it's not done exactly right. So there is a request for a 3% site plan return. That in particular is, there's a certain portion of the plan that we require to be set aside until the completion of the project. Appointment of the Town of Plattsburgh delegate to the 2020 Association of Town meeting. We have a professional association or organization that we partake in for trainings, and also to keep us up to date on the various legislative actions of Albany, for example. There's a monthly publication called Town Talk that gives us a better understanding of kind of the landscape of what's going on thematically. Bluff Point recommendation award and trade pump station award. Both of these are related to our capital plan. We did go out to bid and
Came in at 1,000,003.
There's two of them.
there's two of
That
them.
was for the trade vote, 1,000,003 and 1,000,000.
If that's what you're seeing in front of you. I'm literally going through the agenda. So what's your question?
That's correct.
That we took the lowest bidder on both.
Correct.
One bidder removed himself.
Yes.
Right. The first one, I didn't see the 3 bids, I only saw 2, but maybe that's,
One of them only received 2 bids. One of them received 3 bids.
and they meet, is it Sandstone? Potsdam, what's the name of
I
it?
believe so.
Sheehan.
They meet all the criteria. So if we were to look at, best practice instead of, we still have a good.
Yeah, I talked to Ron LaBerge today, and I think everything's fine on that score. Yeah, and I-
Best
I-
value, Tom, or best?
Yeah, best value, best value. But they're being totally replaced, right, these lift stations?
Yeah, they're being replaced.
Yes.
Yeah.
I talked to Scott at length this morning about both, and he's kept us up to speed in committee you know, with both of these projects, so we're very familiar with where we sit with them. You know, the one thing that I asked him today was where did they fall in what was budgeted with the original plan? They're higher than what was budgeted with the original plan, but that was anticipated, because that's what, 3-4 years ago now. Changes in prices, tariffs, et cetera, you know, had an effect on it. I also spoke to him about Sheehan Construction. They've done some work locally for other municipalities, and everything's been acceptable. And to Jim's point, Ron was fine with it. Ron Burge was fine with it, so.
And these are the lift stations for water, sewer?
Sewer.
Sewer?
Yeah, they're both sewer. Yeah, the Bluff Point, and he said there may be some play with that, because that one, Bluff especially included the demolition of some buildings that we may be able to forego to pull some of the pricing back, et cetera, but, you know, he felt they were both reasonable.
That's
so.
nothing to do with the one we're trying to change on the base, we're gonna eliminate one and.
Yeah, there's the consolidation.
That was the consolidation one, because
Old.
we talked about that, was supposed to be one of the first ones done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. I've seen some of these, the trade road one especially is in dire need of being.
Oh, yeah, the pump
replaced, yeah.
capacity there is very limited, and they're getting a lot of junk from the jail.
That's an old one on the trade.
Yeah, that's an old one. That one's long overdue, and the equipment that's going in there is much bigger, it's gonna have much higher capacity.
The jail also has, for lack of a better name for it, it's called a muffin monster. And the muffin monster actually basically eats materials, a digester that goes in the pipes, in the liquid. And, you know, if it's shirts or paper and stuff, and it continues to grind it down so it can pass through the grate system, that has been down for a while. And Sheriff Favreau has been working with his team to get the new one up and running and onboarded, and they're in the next couple of days. I think it should be activated. So
Yeah, they thought it would be this week.
I just brought it up because there's industry there, and industrial, and there's the sheriff, the jail.
Well, I think it's important too with the Bluff, because there's a lot of land out there still to be developed, so I mean, that, you know, they just scratched the surface up there,
Yeah.
so.
If I could just go back for a second on the Clinton County Airport. When we made the agreement with the county and everything, we contributed 400,000. The 20,000.
Whoa. No,
That's a
if you're gonna throw a number up there, let's make sure it's right.
Oh, sorry. Plus,
So the relationship, the public-private partnership that we have with the county, if this is what you're referring to,
Yeah.
is our contribution is 250,000, TDC's is 250,000, the county's is 500,000. And then we went after some federal grants so that we could match in kind and leverage that.
nice, and this doesn't have anything to do with
So
any of that?
this ED, let me just go back to it, this ESD grant infrastructure disbursement relates to the grant that helped to do the initial study.
Okay.
So, and like I said, New York State in their infinite wisdom did not have some of the material that they needed for backup, and now what we are trying to do is to finalize the disbursement of funds requested for the study. So we are doing our due diligence and working kind of backwards in a sense, so. I think that dates back to 2014.
Could I ask a question for clarification? The lift stations, was that all part of the capital project?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I that's what I thought, but I just wanted to.
Yeah,
It is.
and one of the things as it relates to the capital plan, Debbie, is we were very methodical in our approach to make sure that we were finding monies that we could put in the right pipeline,
Right.
pun intended, knowing
With the
that-
shirt.
Yeah, knowing that New York State was putting funds into various buckets, pun also intended, for the water capital plan throughout New York State. And that's why I think we received, it was like $3.1 or $3.2 million. We weren't sure how it was gonna shake out, if we were gonna be allowed to apply for funds that were water and wastewater, just water. So rather than start a project, because often what will happen is if you start a project and you apply for grants, the project has started, you cannot apply funds to it afterwards. So, and then what can happen is that bucket, if it's inclusive of both pieces of it, if we've applied for it, and it's usually not a 50-50 split, but say it was, you could have tied up an allocation of funds for something that you couldn't even use.
Sure.
So that's why we kind of pushed some of this wastewater stuff down a little bit further, trying to figure out, because we knew that the water portion of it was the high priority as we kind of began to dispatch it, so. You're loving coming to this meeting, I can see your eyes flashing.
They're open at least.
Nobody's snoring yet.
Is there any questions about either of this? The one thing that I would like for consideration, like I said, we're trying to close this out, and there's so much paperwork at the beginning and end of 2020. If there's no objection, I would ask for an adoption of Resolution 16, the ESD grant infrastructure disbursement of funds request for the Old County Airport. I'd like to get this put to bed.
So moved, Michael.
I'll have Kevin read it and then.
Oh, okay, that's true,
Set
sorry
the-
about that.
You're trying to beat me again, so that I can't get the,
We already missed that.
Government and science kids.
Who made the motion?
Well, you can
No,
get it.
you gotta read it
you have
first.
to read it first.
Okay, resolution number 20-16, ESD grant infrastructure disbursement of funds request for Old Clinton County Airport. Whereas a letter from the Empire State Development, Edwin Lee, requested a disbursement of funds as per the grant disbursement agreement. Therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Plattsburgh does hereby grant and approve payments attached in the total amount of $20,000 as payment for work related to the project listed as part of the town of Plattsburgh's infrastructure grant project down at the Old Clinton County Airport. And it is further resolved that the town supervisor be hereby authorized to make said payment for the project in accordance with the agreement, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the Water and Wastewater Director, Scott Stoddard.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
There you go.
Hebert, is there a second?
Second.
Caustic, any discussion?
Michael, does this have to go to the finance manager as well on this one? That's
We
just
can add it as well.
if you would, thanks.
Yeah. All right. With no objection, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So does Carrie. Thank you very much for helping close that one out. Okay, is there anything else for the good of the order this evening? I know of no need to go into an executive session. I'd like to try to finish out at least January, the first month of the year, without going into one, but I don't say too hopeful. Anything further? Is there any questions from our audience this evening? Sure.
What party mostly, are you guys for, like Democratic or Republican?
Well, let's play a little game. What do you think from the activity that you saw up here tonight?
Okay, I'm gonna say 2 are Republican and 1, the rest are Democratic.
Good guess.
Okay.
Usually the ones sit.
What's the question?
That was interesting.
What's the question?
So, no, the Democrats and Democrats
So I'm really
We have
curious.
2 women on the board, and 3 men.
Okay, that wasn't even the question.
No.
Wait a minute, let me turn my hearing aids up.
They're looking at you, the Republican.
The board tends to be Democrat.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm on the Working Families Party.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, good.
All right. If you need any signatures, hit us up on the way out.
They
All
know
right.
they can go online to get all the resolutions.
Yeah. So we're going to adjourn tonight at 6:19 PM.